Marcus wiped down the marble counter in the luxury hotel lobby for what felt like the 100th time that evening. His reflection stared back at him, tired eyes, salt and pepper hair, uniform pressed despite its age. 23 years he'd worked these floors, watched countless guests come and go, their expensive shoes clicking across the tiles he'd polished until they gleamed. He'd never asked for recognition, never expected anything more than his modest paycheck and the quiet satisfaction of a job well done. But tonight, everything would change. Tonight, one moment of basic human decency would cost him everything he'd worked for and somehow impossibly give him back so much more. The evening had started like any other Tuesday. Marcus arrived at the Grand Lexington Hotel at 5 o'clock sharp, changed into his uniform, and began his rounds. The hotel catered to the wealthy elite, tech executives, celebrities, old money families who'd been coming here for generations. Marcus had learned to make himself invisible, a shadow moving through their world without disturbing it. Around 8:30, he noticed her. She wasn't hard to miss, though not for the reasons the hotel's usual clientele stood out. While others dripped in designer labels and diamonds, this woman wore simple jeans and a plain sweater. Her sneakers were scuffed, her hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. She sat in one of the lobby's plush chairs, laptop open, nursing a cup of coffee from the hotel's cafe. Marcus smiled to himself. Sometimes regular folks wandered in, perhaps meeting someone or just enjoying the ambiance. He made a mental note to ensure her area stayed tidy and went about his work. That's when Derek approached her. Derek Thornton. The hotel's new assistant manager was everything Marcus wasn't. Young, ambitious, and ruthlessly status-conscious. He'd been hired 6 months ago and had made it his mission to elevate the hotel's standards, which seemed to mean making anyone he deemed unworthy feel unwelcome. "Excuse me, ma'am." Derek's voice carried across the lobby, sharp and condescending. "This lobby is reserved for hotel guests and members of our executive club. I'm going to have to ask you to leave." The woman looked up, confusion crossing her face. "I'm sorry? This isn't a public space," Derek continued, louder now. Other guests were beginning to stare. "If you're not staying here or meeting a registered guest, you need to go." Marcus felt his jaw tighten. He'd seen Derek pull this routine before, always with people he judged as beneath the hotel's standards. It made his blood boil. "I bought coffee from your cafe," the woman said calmly, gesturing to her cup. "I was told I could sit here." "Well, you were told wrong," Derek crossed his arms. "You're loitering, and frankly, you're not the image we're trying to project. So please gather your things." Marcus watched the woman's face flush with embarrassment. Around them, wealthy guests whispered and pointed. She began closing her laptop with shaking hands, and something inside Marcus snapped. "Derek!" He stepped forward, his voice steady but firm. "Leave her alone." The assistant manager spun around, surprise flickering across his face before hardening into contempt. "Excuse me? This doesn't concern you, Marcus. Get back to work. She's a paying customer," Marcus said. "She bought coffee, she's sitting quietly, she's bothering no one." "There's no reason to humiliate her." "I said this doesn't concern you." Derek's face was reddening now. "You're a janitor. Know your place." Those words hung in the air like a slap. Marcus felt the sting of them, the casual cruelty of reducing 23 years of honest work to something shameful, but he didn't back down. "My place," Marcus said quietly, "is standing up for what's right. And what you're doing isn't right." The lobby had gone completely silent now. Even the soft piano music from the lounge seemed to have stopped. The woman stood frozen, her laptop clutched to her chest, looking between Marcus and Derek with wide eyes. "That's it," Derek said, pulling out his phone. "I'm calling security. You're fired, Marcus. Effective immediately. Insubordination and interfering with management duties." Marcus felt the words hit him like a physical blow. Fired. After 23 years. His pension, his health insurance, everything. His daughter was in college, his wife had medical bills. Panic clawed at his throat, but when he looked at the woman, still standing there, still humiliated, he knew he couldn't take it back. "Wouldn't take it back? Then I'm fired," he said simply. He turned to the woman. "I'm sorry this happened to you, ma'am. You deserved better." Security arrived within minutes. Marcus was escorted to collect his things from his locker while Derek watched with smug satisfaction. The woman had disappeared, and Marcus felt a pang of regret that he hadn't at least gotten to know her name. As he walked out of the Grand Lexington for the last time, the weight of what he'd done began to settle on his shoulders. How would he tell his wife? How would they manage? 3 days passed in a blur of anxiety and failed job applications. Marcus sat at his kitchen table, circling want ads with increasing desperation, when his phone rang. Unknown number. Is this Marcus Thompson? A professional female voice, yes? This is Rebecca Chen from the Grand Lexington Hotel's corporate office. We need you to come to the hotel tomorrow morning at 9. It's regarding your recent termination. Marcus's heart sank. They probably wanted him to sign something, make it all official. I'll be there, he said quietly. The next morning, Marcus put on his best suit, the one he'd worn to his daughter's high school graduation, and returned to the hotel. Rebecca Chen met him in the lobby, a severe-looking woman in her 40s with a tablet under her arm. Mr. Thompson, please come with me. She led him not to the Human Resources office, but to the executive boardroom on the top floor. Marcus had never been up here before. Through the glass walls, he could see the entire city sprawling below, and sitting at the head of the conference table was her, the woman from the lobby. She smiled when she saw his shocked expression. Hello, Marcus. Please, sit down. Rebecca gestured to a chair, and Marcus sank into it, completely confused. Let me introduce myself properly, the woman said, standing and extending her hand. I'm Sarah Winters. I'm the CEO and majority shareholder of Winters Hospitality Group. We own the Grand Lexington, along with 47 other properties worldwide. Marcus felt the room tilt. CEO? Billionaire CEO? The woman Derek had tried to throw out? I was doing what I always do, Sarah continued, sitting back down. I visit our properties unannounced, dressed like a regular person, to see how our staff treats everyday customers. It's something my father taught me. You learn more about a place by how they treat the people they think don't matter. She pulled up something on her laptop and turned it to face him. It was security footage from the lobby that night. I watched this about 50 times, she said quietly. You're the only person who stood up for me. Not because you knew who I was, but because it was the right thing to do. You risked your livelihood for a stranger. Marcus didn't know what to say. His throat felt tight. Derek Thornton was terminated yesterday, Sarah said. We've also let go of 3 other managers who reviewed the footage and saw nothing wrong with his behavior. That culture stops now. She paused. Marcus, I want to offer you a position. Director of Guest Relations and Staff Culture. You'll work directly with me to ensure that every single property we own treats every single guest with dignity and respect. The salary is $200,000 a year plus full benefits, pension, and a signing bonus to compensate for what you lost. Marcus couldn't breathe. 200,000? He'd been making 32. I'm just a janitor, he stammered. No, Sarah said firmly. You're a man with integrity. You're someone who understands what hospitality really means. The cleaning skills, the customer service experience, that's valuable. But your character? That's irreplaceable. She leaned forward. I built this company on the principle that everyone deserves respect, regardless of their bank account. But somewhere along the way, people like Derek lost sight of that. I need someone like you to help me fix it. Tears pricked Marcus's eyes. He thought of his wife, his daughter, all the sleepless nights he'd had since being fired. He thought of every time someone had looked through him, treated him as less than, made him feel small for the honest work he did. I'd be honored, he whispered. Sarah smiled, and it transformed her face. Good. Because we start Monday, and I have about 47 hotels that need to remember why we're really here. As Marcus left the boardroom that day, he passed by the lobby where it had all happened. The marble gleamed, polished by whoever had taken over his roots. But something had shifted. The guests seemed a little kinder, the staff a little more attentive. Word had spread quickly about what happened, about the janitor who'd become a director, about the CEO who'd been treated like nobody. His phone buzzed. A text from his daughter. Dad, Mom told me everything. I'm so proud of you. You're my hero. Marcus smiled, slipping his phone back into his pocket. He wasn't a hero. He was just a man who'd chosen kindness when it cost him everything. And somehow, impossibly, wonderfully, that had been enough.